Probably can't see on the screen.
Just kidding. I don't know why I just said that.
Every time that song comes on, like there's no holding back.
You actually beat me to the punch to it because I planned on asking you about this later.
Probably 5-5, let's be real.
Don't pretend like the network cut out and hang up on me, okay?
This can't be happening.
And I'm glad I caught you off guard. Welcome to Unshut, dude. This is what we do here.
Terminator's been done, so I'm gonna go with Terminal Low.
Why the fuck did that come out of my mouth?
Through my phone and was like, holy shit.
Welcome to Unshut, a place where if at any point you feel like you need to shut the up, don't.
Hello, 1 second. I guess to get video, I have to go to my actual laptop. Hold on.
No
Not my
worries, you're good.
mon. Oh, camera works. Okay. Let me just turn on the stupid light.
Lighting is everything, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Oh, sorry, I like just got off work.
Amazing. Can you hear me all good?
Yep.
Awesome. So you just got off work, you said?
Yeah.
How was it? How was work?
It's not bad. I work for Tesla, so I am a technician at Tesla. So it's just cold out because I live in Canada. It's winter. It's freaking freezing out.
How long have you been with Tesla?
Been Tesla like just over a year.
Okay, not too bad. Are you a Tesla driver yourself?
No, not yet. Yeah, they're nice vehicles, but I haven't made that commitment quite yet.
Well, are Teslas pretty popular where you're at? I mean, obviously it snows, so
Yeah, so it does snow, but not a ton. Oops, that's the wrong color. Yeah, it does snow here. So I would say I don't want this light on. It's hurting my eyes. I would say that yeah, they're still pretty popular here because like it snows here, but only for like maybe like 2 weeks kind of thing. Like we'll have one bit of snow. Because Vancouver is kind of like far enough down. And it's right on the coast. It's kind of like it's like Canada's LA. Think of it like that.
oh, for sure. Are
Yeah.
you born and raised in Vancouver?
Vancouver Island. So, which is pretty much the same thing, but essentially it's like a 2-hour ferry ride to get to Vancouver Island, which is similar to Vancouver, but a little different.
Very cool. I mean, listen, I'm not the most geographical smart person. I'll actually share this story with you to kind of get things going. But the first thing that comes to mind whenever I hear Vancouver is the first time I ever went to Vancouver, I was on a flight from Vegas to Canada, and I'm sitting on the flight, and this really sweet couple is sitting next to me, and they're like, "Hey, what do you do?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm a choreographer. I'm getting ready to go do some work in Canada for the first time." They were like, "Oh, this is amazing." They're like, "What part?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to British Columbia." And they were like, "Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. How many days are you there?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm there for about, 3 or 4 days." They were like, "Oh, so what part?" I'm like, "Oh, British Columbia. I'm going to get to see all of it." And they were like, "All
No,
of
you're
it?"
not. Mm-mm.
Exactly. So it's literally on my flight there, I learned about like Providences and how everything split up. And come to find out, I was working in Richmond, not the entire British Columbia. So
Yeah, yeah. So Richmond is basically like there's Greater Vancouver, and then Richmond is just like one city within the Greater Vancouver area, right? So yeah, Richmond's probably like a 40-minute drive from downtown Vancouver. If there's traffic, maybe only like 20 minutes, but so you were close enough to Vancouver.
yeah, for sure. I absolutely loved it. I went there for almost, I want to say 5 or so, 6 years, maybe a little bit longer. I'm not too sure. I don't remember. It was a while ago, but I would go there about 2 to 3 times a year and I would work at the Olympic Oval.
Oh, cool.
Loved it. It was such a badass location, but this prompted me to ask you, have you ever had any geographical blonde moments when it came to traveling outside of Canada?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I do music as well, and so I've toured the US a little bit. Let me see. What was the blonde moment? Okay, I had a blonde moment when some fans asked if we wanted to DJ a wedding. And I was like, I mean, that's, a strange thing, but like, hey, why not? I was like, fuck it. Like, I'll be part of your special day. Like, I was honored. So, me and my partner at the time that used to be part of Caslow, we agreed to DJ this fan's wedding. And they had talked to our manager and, they set everything up. And then, yeah, they're like, oh, yeah, it's in Virginia. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that shouldn't be too far. I didn't realize that it was the other side. It was the East Coast side. I thought it was like on this, the like California side. So I was completely wrong. And then they're like, oh yeah, I looked at my flight and I was like, oh, like, what is this? I'm gonna fly 7 hours or something. And there was like eight, and there was like, and then I was just like, uh-oh, like I should have checked where it was before I agreed to this. And then yeah, it wound up being like I had no time. Like I got off the flight, I got picked up by the person. I was just super tired. I napped for like maybe 30 minutes and then I was just like had to get changed and I had sweating and I was just like not doing this again. I should have like planned. Should have, it was a great night, but that was my blonde moment. Was didn't know I didn't know East Coast at all. I didn't know how far away New York was either. Like the first time I went to New York, I was like, this is so far. I don't ever want to go here again. Like again, I had a great time, but did not like the freaking red eye flight I decided to take. And then, it was like a 7 or 8 hours or something so long. So yeah, East Coast, I love it out there. Been to Miami too. That was another long one. It's great, but yeah, I don't like the really long flight over there, that's for sure.
Oh, for sure. I mean, the West Coast to Florida is actually Vegas to Florida used to be one of the flights I dreaded the most.
Yeah.
But it's totally random. Something you actually beat me to the punch to it because I planned on asking you about this later, but I wanted to wait a little bit longer to break the ice with you a little bit more before we jumped right into this, but you beat me to it. But I noticed, based off of social media posts, your profile picture, I wanted to respectfully ask, not for any negative reason, so don't think I'm trying to set you up for anything bad, but I did prompted me to ask you, Caslow is now just a solo thing, right?
Yes, it was actually a completely mutual thing. We split for quite a few reasons. I want to make it clear to everyone, we're still best friends. I talk to him every day. We still like send each other songs and he's like, "Oh, this is good." Like, he sends me stuff. We're still great friends. We split for a few different reasons and part of it being that half of it was a business decision because, Caslow started doing shows around the States. We wanted to start to get merch going. Like as the project just got bigger, having one of us in Canada and one of us in the US made things extremely difficult when it went to filing, an LLC to actually make this into a business and, open bank accounts and like it just, and then if tax season came around, like what would we do with Canadian and US? Like we just decided that it started as just us two in our bedrooms. Like we never ever thought that it would even get to this point where, we've gone to tour a bit and have actual fans. And so, yeah, it started with just an idea and like us messing around, but then it turned into something bigger. And we decided that it can't grow to the where we want it to if two of us are in different countries. So we made the difficult decision to part ways. And it was sort of my idea in the beginning, and I was kind of always the one running everything, but he did a lot of the writing musically. So, it was definitely equal, but he wanted to have more, I guess he didn't want to feel such like stuck brand wise and music direction wise. Like we're kind of in that niche of like the Millenniums type of melodic bass music sort of niche. That's kind of where we started, and that's our kind of corner that we're in. I've kind of tried to diversify it by doing more of like a punk rock aesthetic. I've added more like punk rock kind of 2000s pop punk into our music. But yeah, he just kind of got sick of doing the whole, emo rock thing because that's not what he grew up on, right? So that wasn't him. He grew up listening to the Beatles, and his dad played in like a Beatles band, and he grew up with Beach Boys and like all that sort of like actual like classic music kind of thing. As where like, I mean, I grew up on, I guess in the 90s, Shania Twain and stuff like that my parents would listen to. But then 2000s, once I got, a computer and LimeWire, I grew up on Linkin Park and, Fall Out Boy, Paramore. I grew up on rock music, basically, like pop punk rock, emo kind of thing. Heart Nickelback, even because they're Canadian. But yeah, I grew up on all that music. So him and I were just kind of opposites in that aspect of things. So our tastes differed. He wanted to do his own thing. The business got to a point where we needed to split. So we just amicably said, let's go our own way. So that's why it happened.
Oh, for sure. And I sometimes feel like the toughest decisions you get to make are sometimes the toughest decisions people try to shy away from, but sometimes making them turns out to be for the best. And so I think it's very admirable that two artists were able to say, hey, we made it this far. However, in order for us to continue to go creatively, we've got to just kind of, go off and do our own thing. But I think it's so amazing that you're very open about it. And two, this is the shit people don't like to talk about when it comes to finances. And it's more than just music. And I try to convey that in a lot of episodes with people that it's not just, hi, my name is Caslow. I'm going to put out music and then boom, my life is complete. There's
Mhm.
branding, there's aesthetic, there's so much more that goes into it that so many people don't ever really get to know. So it's important to talk
Yeah.
about, but we definitely
Yeah.
won't harp on it too much. But yeah.
It's a business at the end of the day, right? It's a business, and if you want to be successful at it, you have to make those decisions. And again, with, now when I get bookings, we only got to fly one person, so that makes it a lot easier for promoters to book us. There's all sorts of things like we'll actually profit on things now, but so yeah, it's just it had to happen. But we're still best buddies, and I'm supporting him. I share all of his music. I'm still building him up. If I get to a point where Caslow does a headline tour, which, in like not this year, maybe next year, I could see it. Or not 2025, 2026, I could see it happening, doing a small little like headline tour. If I did that, I would totally bring him with me, obviously, and be like, hey, you're going to be my support for the tour. So that's kind of my plan. But yeah.
Well, I think it's awesome. And I think that honestly, what something that gets me really excited about talking with artists, because again, it's just, the conversations that are very difficult to have. But what I was going to say was we're not going to harp on it too much, but I will tell you this. I journaled when I was doing some quick research and I came across an interview you both did together. And he made a comment about eating pasta 3 times a week because he's Italian. And no lie, I was like, ugh, I hope I don't get that guy for the interview because I'm low key jealous that he looks like that and eats that much pasta. And I look like this and I don't eat that much fucking pasta. So I journaled and made a joke about that. So
That's funny. Yeah. He unfortunately has severe allergies to pretty much everything, like nuts, shellfish, dairy, like anything. Like he can't eat anything. That was part of our when we tour and like go to a new city, half of our time was spent trying to find somewhere for him to eat. Like it was like we'd land and right away being like allergy friendly restaurants, like where could we go get food for him? But yeah, he's really allergic to everything. So he eats a lot of like just plain ass pasta. Like with nothing on it. Like, yeah, he does. And since he was so limited, yeah, it's hard for him to eat as much as regular people. So he was able to just eat pretty much whatever he wanted if he could have it. So,
no, I was super jealous about that. I was like, I wish I had whatever condition he fucking had. But I do also want to preface before we move on, we are going to talk some music, but I like to add a little twist to certain things because I'm not just inspired by my guests' music. I'm inspired by who they are as people. However, I do want to just disclaimer this. I'm going to be asking you shit I know for sure you've never done on record before or talked about on record before. So I'm just asking you to bear
yeah,
with me,
I'm
be
ready.
open-minded, and just whatever you do, don't pretend like the network cut out and hang up on me, okay?
Oh, absolutely. We'll be good.
All right, before we talk about more music, I noticed that something you had talked about was your experience with motocross. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
In that, transitional period of being in motocross before you started to dive into music, if I'm not mistaken, I read or heard on an episode somewhere that you broke both shoulders and a wrist. Am I on the right track?
Yep. Yeah, you probably can't see on the screen, but I have a screw and a scar holding my wrist together. So yeah, I broke both my shoulders, and I broke my wrist, and it came to a certain point where the doctors were like, I don't think you should race dirt bikes anymore. And then my dad was also like, yeah, you're 21 years old or whatever, and you've had how many surgeries already? Not even, no, I was younger than that, I guess. Because I started DJing, like getting into it pretty much when I broke my wrist. Oh, but then I think I tried to race for like another year after, and then I did my shoulders and then was like, fuck it. But yeah, so basically it was kind of like a culmination of getting injured and not being able to do what I was super passionate about that led me into finding other passions, right? So then it was just so happened to be I actually broke my wrist, and then the same day Steve Aoki was in like the city that I was motocross racing in. So I got out of the hospital and I called my dad, and I was like 16 or 17 at the time. I said, "Hey dad, I'm not going to come back to the racetrack. I'm going to go to Steve Aoki." He was like, "What? You just broke your wrist today?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just going to go with my broken wrist." So I went to the show. One of like that was the second maybe show I've ever been to. My first one was Dead Mouse earlier that summer. But yeah, I went to a Steve Aoki show with my wrist completely in a cast, and he was still a small enough artist back then that he was just sitting in the front, like at a table signing shirts. And so he signed my cast. Like we're talking 2011, right before the EDM boom happened. He was still a big name back then, but yeah, he was still a small enough name that you could just go up to the show and he would just be sitting there at a desk, like signing merch and stuff. So yeah, it was cool. I went up to him. I'm like, I broke my wrist today. He's like, no way, man. Like put some stickers on it and he signed my cast. So I actually still have that cast with Stevie Aoki's signature on it.
Oh, hell yeah, that's sick. Do
Yeah.
you think if it wouldn't have been for the injuries, today you would still be dabbling in both, doing motocross and music?
Yes, I do think because I've always, when you're a motocross racer, you're kind of a thrill seeker. I've always loved, high energy stuff. I've loved, the adrenaline rush and just, you know, being involved with stuff like that. And so, yeah, I mean, I was still in my motocross career when my older brother was like, "Hey, you should come to this Dead Mouse concert." I was 16 at the time, and I was like, "Who is that?" And then I, you know, heard it for the first time and was like, "Well, I've never heard anything like this before." That was in 2010 or 2011. And yeah, I immediately, as soon as I went there and saw it live, like the bass, the people and the lights and the colors or anything like that, I was just blown away. And I was like, this is cool. Like I've never seen anything like I was addicted like that. And I was like, I'm going back to this. So yeah, then I actually went and got a bunch of my motocross friends and then we went to Skrillex, which was like the month after or 2 months after. And I was like, you guys got to come and see this stuff. So I do think that I was just at the right place at the right time with electronic music blowing up in North America. And I was just right at that age of like 17, getting into it from my older brother. So I think that even if I was able to still race dirt bikes, I probably would have still dabbled in electronic music because I just kind of knew right from the get-go, like from the very first show when I saw Dead Mouse, I was like, I want to do that. Like, what's he doing that I can't do? So I was like, I need to learn how to do this. So I think I literally went home and like Googled or YouTubed how to DJ or what do DJs do? And I eventually, researched it more and eventually I bought a little DJ controller and it all snowballed from there. But to sum it up, I would still be doing it, I think, because I just right away was like, I need to do this.
Oh, for sure.
So,
I feel
yeah.
like, it's funny because I agree with what you just said. I think passions would have found us regardless of what path we took to get there. I think
Mhm.
that some things are just truly meant to be for us. And I think that what you're doing is absolutely incredible. And so something I journaled was, music found him regardless of this injury or not. I think it would have been a passion that you would have crossed paths with anyway. And I actually wrote, I think certain passions find you regardless. Sometimes it takes a little extra push. And in his case, God pushed him off the bike.
Yep, that's literally what happened. And yeah, I fully agree with you.
In honor of all the metal you've got going on in your body, okay, this is how I'm going to ease you into having to think quick on your toes, okay? So, in
Okay.
honor of all of that metal going on in your body, this is this or that. Are you ready?
Yep.
This is in regards to your stage name. This
Okay.
or that, Wally or Wallow?
I would go for Wallow. Yeah.
Perfect. Robocop or Brody Cop?
I think RoboCop is my one for that. Brody Cop just sounds a little, yeah.
Yeah, that was my pick too. RoboCop for sure.
Yep.
Terminator or Termina Low?
You know what? Terminator's been done, so I'm gonna go with Terminal Low.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
Do something
Absolutely.
new.
Well, like I said, that was just your warm up, okay? You're gonna need to really think quick on your toes for some other shit we're gonna do, okay?
Yeah, I'm ready. We're
So,
good.
so I'm actually really excited you talked about Dead Mouse because that was going to be my next segue into what we're doing next. I noticed it in an interview you talked about that was like your awakening, your first concert, and you actually answered my question, which was if that was your first concert, and it was Dead Mouse, right? With your big brother?
Yes, my first electronic concert was Dead Mouse. I think before that, I went to maybe like one rock band concert. It was a band called Rise Against. They're a punk rock, kind of alternative rock band. I believe I went to them first. That was probably my first concert because I was, yeah, maybe like 15 or something. I was pretty young. Rise Against was probably my first concert, but Dead Mouse was my first electronic concert.
Very cool. And so, in
Mhm.
regards to Dead Mouse and this first concert in this time frame, do you by any chance know their songs "Sophie Needs a Ladder" and "One Trick Pony"?
Absolutely. So yeah, the first electronic album I ever owned, because this is when iTunes was still like a thing. I went and bought that album, the 4 times 4 equals 12 album from him. And Yeah, I bought it as soon as my brother showed it to me, and I listened to that thing on a repeat. So yeah, I'm very familiar with those two songs.
Amazing.
Yeah,
I was so nervous that you were going to be like, no, I don't remember. So I'm actually so fucking relieved because this will be very helpful for me. So that's amazing. So Sophie actually happens to be a really good friend of mine. And so, in honor of her collaboration with Dead Mouse, I wanted to ask you some questions inspired by those two songs off that album. And again, I'm going to need you to think quick on your toes, okay?
I got this.
Okay, so if leaving a bad taste in someone's mouth makes them their Sour Patch Kid, what is someone who leaves a sweet taste in their mouth?
Oh God, you caught me off guard. Someone,
Mine was
okay,
Starburst, by the way. That's what I came up
yeah,
with. Mine was Starburst.
I was gonna say Skittles. Skittles,
Perfect.
like we'll go with Skittles.
That's perfect. And I'm glad I caught you off guard. Welcome to Unshut, dude. This is what we do here, okay?
Okay,
So, if Sophie drops them like a needle, what does Brody drops them like?
maybe a plunger. I don't know.
That's
I'm
perfect.
clumsy, so we'll go with that.
Amazing. The most clever thing I could come up with, I wrote hammer because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing myself. So
I mean, hammer would have been a better option. I don't know why tools came to my brain and just the plunger. I don't know. That's just where my brain went.
that's perfect. In the song One Trick Pony, and this one really focus with me here, okay?
Okay.
In the song One Trick Pony, the lyrics say, stick hot needles in my eyes. Go ahead and tap that ass. Can you think of another body part or any other body parts to tap by finishing this line? Stick cold pins in my eyes. Tap my blank, not my ass.
Shins? We'll go shins.
That's perfect. That's definitely one I had on there. Well, I'm not gonna lie. My first one was tits, but I was like, I don't know that I'm gonna get him to say that. So shins was my next option.
I mean, tits works, yeah.
Amazing. Well, thanks for doing that for me because I totally geeked out when I heard you on an interview saying Dead Mouse first CDM concert. And I remember you talking about the year. And in my head, I'm going, wait a minute, that was definitely the same era. My girl
That's,
Sophie was collaborating with them. So this is so fucking perfect. So thanks for
yeah.
doing that with me.
Oh, of course. I'm a massive fan of hers, so if you tell her, big massive fan, love her.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if anything, I'll get her to sign your man tits for you. Just kidding. I don't know why I just said that.
Oh,
Something that I wanted to do because, again, it's just my way of kind of honoring you, your name, and your creativeness, right? In a previous interview, you talked about your mom also being a singer, and this got me thinking about how you came up with the name Caslow, which was two names infused into one. So, my question to you is, and I hate that I brought up mom after we talked about body parts. I'm so sorry, mom, if you listen to this, and my mom, but if you were to infuse you and your mom's name for a creative project with her as the vocalist and you DJing and mixing, what would it be?
that's a good one. Through all my different names I've had for all my DJ projects, it's always had Low because that's my last name. So like, my name before this was like B Low, or like I had B3 Low at one point because it was cool to put threes in your name in like the early 2010s. So my mom and me, I don't know. Um,
I'm glad that's a question no one's asked you before.
Yeah, and I don't even know. Like, I mean, Caslow came by combining two names together. My mom's name is Mary, so you can't really combine that with Low. It'd be like Merlot, Marlowe. I
Oh,
don't know.
wait, Merlot. That's like a that's
Merlot.
like an actual wine, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Yeah, we could go
That's
with that. Could do a play on that. I'd probably do that. We could
that's
brand it with like a
perfect.
little wine bottle. Yeah, that would work.
Oh, hell yeah. All right. So if you get any wine branding deals, just I'll take 1.5% of it, okay?
That works. That works. We can share the wine.
Exactly, exactly. Or I'll do all the wine tasting for the product, okay?
There you go.
So, just to keep the flow going, I took some popular songs with the word low in them to
Oh
pull
man,
inspiration questions from. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
So, the first one is Low by Florida. And obviously, the
Mhm.
most famous line on there is called Shawty Got Low, Shawty Get Low, whatever he says on there, okay? The
Apple bottom jeans.
Apple Bottom Jeans song, exactly. Is there a Caslow mix you can think of that, without a doubt, in your opinion, is the one song everyone gets the most hype to?
Yes. So probably it was actually a newer song. It was a song we released in 2023 or end of last year. It was called By Your Side. And Yeah, I when I play it live, I play by your side for the first half, and then I took the vocals off of it, and I put the vocals from Titanium by David Guetta over top of the second half. And every single show I've played, yeah, like the entire room obviously screams the vocals to Titanium. And then the drop that we did on that song is very, very like upbeat, high energy, just like a dancey song. It's like a four on the floor beat too. So it's one that you just like jump and rage to.
Stay for the night. I'm half from high. Goodbye, your holding tight. Just stay for the night. I'm half from high. Goodbye, your side. Goodbye, your side.
When you see everyone jumping to your music like that, are you taken back to your impression on how people reacted to someone like Deadmau5? Is that your moment of going, holy shit, I did wonder what was he doing that I couldn't do, but here you are, 2024, doing that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm usually so wrapped up in it, having the best time myself. Like, I have so much fun when I'm up there playing shows. Like, I'm just as much in it as the crowd is. Like, I'm freaking having the best time. So, I think you're right. It's hard to like get retrospective almost and like really think about it because I just live in the moment. I'm just like, I'm having so much fun jumping with everyone. I'm just like, but I will say the last set, there was at the point where I like looked over at my friend who was on stage with me or my photographer, something like that. And I was just like, this is crazy. Like, I can't believe that I'm doing this. You know what I mean? Like it is, yeah. I mean, it's a really even, yeah, it's just like I'm playing venues around Vancouver that, 10 years ago I just went to as a fan thinking, wow, one day if I ever got to be on the stage and I've done it now. And yeah, I mean, it was cool. At the end of the night after I played, there's a venue here called Commodore Ballroom, and it's like one of the main venues. And yeah, I went to shows there for years. And so I got to finally play that venue. And after the end of the night, I was kind of sitting there thinking to myself, like, that was really cool. You did it. Like, you went from an 18-year-old in your bed, just like in my head thinking, oh man, I can't wait to just play a club. Like anywhere that's not my bedroom. That was my end goal. And then now I'm, gotten to play
Oh,
around the
for
US.
sure.
And yeah, so I mean, it's cool to think about for sure. I still like can't believe it. It's still it's just motivation. Every time I do that or play a show, it just motivates me to. I immediately want to get back in the studio and just start creating something better and like growing the brand more. And so I'm planning to do a lot more of that in 2025. I'm going to be releasing a bunch of music, and I'm really going to focus, unfortunately for me, on social media because it's everything right now. And I've took 2024 to take a bit of a step back and really focus on that and what I want to do with that. So I'm gonna hit that hard in 2025
No, that's
to
amazing. So exciting to have those full circle moments for sure.
yeah, they've definitely happened. Like for sure. One of the first electronic artists I really got into was Adventure Club. They were, huge because they were Canadian. And so I found out about them pretty much right after Deadmau5 being massive Canadian artists. And they kind of invented or pioneered the whole like melodic dubstep thing. And so I was obsessed with them from the beginning. Like my most played song in my iTunes library is an Adventure Club song. And I got to do a song with them, which was incredible. I mean, it's still not quite done. I'm doing final tweaks to it right now. But yeah, that was a huge full circle moment to me. When I saw they followed me and DM me, I like screamed through my phone and was like, holy shit. Like, wow. And then yeah, to have a song with them, I cannot wait till the world gets to hear it next year. It's yeah, I'm super stoked. That was a full circle moment for me. I like called my mom. I was like, "You won't know this, but this was crazy." When I was 18, now I am friends with them and have a song with them. So that was cool. Same with, getting to do a remix for Elenium. He was a really big part of why Caslow even existed. So when his manager hit us up, I was just like, this can't be happening. I've had a few moments where it's just like little things like that are just extremely motivating. And part of it's like where I'm like, I'm never gonna give up. We're never gonna stop doing this. So even if I don't, make it big and tour the world, I still gonna always be creating.
But you will though, because I will tell you this too. Like something that I take a lot of pride in is obviously we all like, and I've said this before, we always like to think that our taste is the best taste, right? The music you listen to, you're like, it's the best. But I really do think I have a fucking gift when it comes to predicting where people are going to catapult and where their projection is. And I can truly tell you that for someone who discovered your music not very long ago, I was completely in awe. I was just like, there's absolutely no way this is not a 45-year-old man doing this shit that's been doing this his whole life. So I think
Yeah.
you're on the right track, and I do think you're going to get a big world tour. And I can't wait to go to at least one of them and be like, oh my gosh, we did an episode together. Please let me in backstage.
What city are you in?
I'm in Austin right now.
Okay, I've played in Dallas before. Houston and Dallas both are stops that I'll see myself at probably even next year. So I don't know how far Houston or Dallas is from Austin. No clue.
It's such a short drive, honestly, because Austin is very centrally located to both of them. So you just let me know, and I'm fucking there because I'm such a down bitch. So I'll show up and support. So
I got a bunch of my friends that live in Nashville too, so I'm trying to make a writer's trip out to Nashville at some point. So I actually loved Dallas. I will say that was my second or almost first favorite city that I've toured and been to. Like I loved Dallas. I thought it was clean, the food was amazing. The like I just really loved the vibe of Texas. I would move there. I've told myself that like if I, wind up moving to the States, which may happen if this project keeps getting bigger, the only places I felt like I would want to move to would be maybe LA, but I kind of think it's like overrated. I think that I loved Denver when I went to Denver. So my choices were either going to be Denver, LA, or Dallas. My three favorite cities I've been to.
amazing. Well, we do a lot of manifesting on this show. So we're going to go ahead and put that out into the universe, and we'll be seeing your big move to the States soon, I'm pretty sure.
Hopefully, let's put it out there. It's gonna happen.
Oh, for sure. The next song I have for you is Get Low by Lil Jon. To the window, to the wall, till the sweat dropped down my balls. What is your favorite song to sweat to? And I cannot listen. I didn't think this through when it came to how many body parts we were going to talk about today. I promise this is the last one.
Okay, so favorite song to sweat to. Let me think. It's hard to say. Like, because believe it or not, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but outside of when I'm working on dance music, I actually don't listen to that much electronic music on my in my spare time. I listen to a lot more like rock and heavy metal and like metalcore. Like Bring Me the Horizon. I'm wearing their hoodie right now. That's probably my favorite artist slash group slash band right now, next to Millennium. And they have this one song called Kingslayer. And it is a very, very fast-paced, just like rager of a song. And yeah, I every time that song comes on, like there's no holding back. And whether I'm driving somewhere, I'm raging and I'll get sweaty to that song. They played in Vegas actually at a festival called Sick New World earlier this year. And I went to Vegas and saw them there. And I got really sweaty to that song. So I'm going to go with Kingslayer by Bring Me the Horizon.
Oh, hell yeah. Dude, I'm like covered in goosebumps because I feel like not that there's like a code to break, right? But I think what you just said is so poetic in a way because of the fact that, in my opinion, could that be why you have this like rise of success coming your way? Because you're not overindulging yourself in other EDM mixes and music. It's truly just what comes to you naturally. So therefore, it's not necessarily studied, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, you might be right. I'm trying to draw influences from outside of dance music. Like I want to put stuff that no one's heard before. I want to try to blend things that, like so yeah, I get my inspirations from other genres, realistically. I just try to bring what they do into dance music. So that's kind of, where I got the idea. Because like I did a pop punk kind of EDM song way back before like anyone, realistically. I don't even know. I think I might have been the first one, or maybe not the first one, but like I'm talking before Millennium did. He kind of had rock-ish elements in his music, but I did a full-on like kind of rock electronic drop in 2020. 2021 was when the song came out. And I even remember submitting it to Millennium's like demo streams that he did over COVID. They used to do like live streams on Twitch and like he did demos and I sent him it and they picked it and like he went over it live and he even said he's like, wow, this is really cool. Like this is super unique. This is really like throwback-ish. Like I love this so much. And he just like loved it. And then he made some after that. So did I inspire it? I don't know. But I did come up with the idea like way early on. In 2019, I was like, let's try to combine rock EDM and do a pop punk song. And no one had really done it back then, I don't think. And so I'm not saying I created it, but I I've always, since I started making music, been experimenting. I've always been like, what can we do different? So
Absolutely. And that's the way
yeah.
it should be. Absolutely. And I love that because I think that's the inspiration, kind of what I feel like I'm doing creatively. I'm like, what can I do that's so different from every other fucking podcast out there? And the only thing I could think of is that, well, I draw out of my own inspiration and the way I see and hear things. So let's bring that to the table. So the next one I have for you is Low by SZA. She says in this song, but these bitches in my business got me out here choosing violence. Is Brody a lover, a fighter, or a little bit of both?
I've never been in a fight in my life. So, I was raised in a really like kind of stoic, Northern Canada family. But that being said, I was never a violent person. No, I don't think I've ever been in a fight. I'm not a very big person. I'm like 5'5", maybe 5'6" on a good day. Probably 5'5", let's be real. And then I'm like 130 pounds. Like I don't fight. So, definitely not a fighter. I
Perfect.
just, I'll let other people that are more built for that fight, not me. I'll just make music.
Exactly. There you go. I love that. The next one I have for you is How Low by Ludacris. He says, put the needle on the record and I make her get lower than a Lamborghini. If a car represented your aesthetic, your vibe, your sound, what car would that be?
Ooh, that's a good one. I do like Lamborghinis, but my vibe, my aesthetic, my sound, probably something kind of like, gritty and kind of like not super fancy.
I'm too gay to know about any cars, so really, you're on your own for this one.
No, maybe like a muscle car of some sort, you know?
Okay.
Yeah, probably like a old muscle car. I don't know which one I can think of, but I'm thinking that would suit my vibe. I could see myself rocking an old muscle car with like a plaid shirt on, kind of thing. Like, some metal music playing. Yeah, I could do that. We'll go with like a classic muscle car.
That's perfect. So if you ever need inspo for a music video, there's your intro. It's just you in a muscle car with your plaid shirt before you get off and do your thing.
Yeah, guitar comes out at some point. Yeah.
Exactly. The next one, and it's the last one I have, it's called Low by Todrick Hall and RuPaul. He says, is you a good witch or just a bad bitch? And my question is just that. Are you a good witch or just a bad bitch, Brody?
I can't say that I'm a good witch. I'd have to say bad bitch.
Hell
I'm
yeah.
not well behaved. Sometimes it gets me into trouble.
Well, thanks for saying that because honestly, I've been kind of nervous ever since I said men tits on this episode, and I'm like, why the fuck did that come out of my mouth? So,
You're good. You're good. You're good. No, I've got myself in my trouble doing the whole rock star life when I'm in different cities. Not trouble,
well,
but let's just say I've had some very horrendously hungover flights home.
I support it. Listen, I'll definitely, whenever you're here in the States again, just let me know. I love to travel too, so maybe I'll meet you, and you know what? I'll hold your hair back for you, okay?
We'll be doing shots for sure.
Exactly. The last thing I have for you is you hinted at something about 2025, and I know that you were talking about what you would like 2026 to look like, but what can we expect in the next couple of months, or actually in this last month of the year? But also, what is the one thing you're so looking forward to the most that you can give people, that are listening that follow your music about 2025 and what that's going to look like for you?
Oh, I'm happy you asked that. So I'm actually really stoked because, Caslow was a duo for so long. We were both making it, and he was doing a lot of the actual writing of the music, and I was more like helping with mixing, mastering, a little bit of producing. But I'm excited just for the world to hear like when it's just me, like my ideas and what my head has come up with. I will say I've taken the music in a darker way, just naturally. The music I listen to is pretty dark and heavy metal stuff. So it's still gonna sound like Caslow. It's still melodic. It's still feely, emotional. But I've got, some like dubstep kind of heavier, aggressive drops coming that I'm just excited because I wanted to diversify our catalog. I didn't want to keep, doing the same stuff. So with me in charge, I've taken it in a bit of different direction. I've still got some stuff that's going to throw back to our old sound, but yeah, I'm excited to just hear or to see people's reactions when I start putting out this heavier music that is more what I wanted to do with just me. So I'm nervous because, I've never put anything out in the world that's just me really before. So I'm like, it took me a few months, not gonna lie, once we split up to get my confidence back as a producer. So yeah, I'm nervous but excited to get these songs out early next year and just see, for my own self because I self-doubt a lot, right? So I'm just excited to see what the world thinks about just me now. So I think I got some of my favorite music that I've ever done coming next year. So I'm very excited.
No, I'm excited for you and I can't wait to listen to it. And I'll definitely share some of these words of wisdom for you when it comes to artistry. And I'm sure it's going to be like, listen, I'm just old giving people advice, but just truly take it in for what you can, okay? When it comes to being experimental and doing different things with your sound, obviously you're going to be vulnerable because you're exposing yourself, like you said, as a solo number now, and it's just a very different venture. But I will tell you this, Brody, whenever you confuse an audience and people don't get it, it's eventually how you end up building a much larger fan base because then eventually, like you said, in 2026, you'll be able to have all the punk kids show up to your concert. You're going to have your EDM lovers. You're going to have your dark heavy metal. And then what does that create for an artist is now you've got a genre fluid audience. And if you think about it, some of the biggest artists in the world, that's all they've done. They've been experimental with their sound. So I'm excited for you. I think it's ballsy and I think that you have every right to be nervous for sure, but I have a good feeling about it.
I think it's gonna go off too. Yeah, the end goal for me, like where I picture Caslow in a couple years from now, is I want it to be a live act, not a DJ set. I'll have a guitar player with me. I'm even my next show here in Vancouver in January. It's actually going to be the premiere of that. I'm bringing my guitar player with me, and then ideally, like I would want to have a drummer. Like I kind of want this to be a half. Like I want it to be electronic based, but like live. So that's like end goal for Caslow is to be able to do a tour where I bring a band, kind of a band situation, band DJ situation. And yeah, I want to have the punk rock kids. Like I want to have a circle pit, like a mosh pit, but I also want to have parts where like people are just like jumping up and down to EDM stuff. So I definitely want to combine the two worlds more and just dive headfirst into it.
I think you're on to something big and I absolutely love it. And I wanted to ask you about this because I'm completely obsessed with Loveless Generation. And
Yeah.
big spoiler, I may have an episode with Sierra coming out in 2025, so stay on the lookout for that. But
Oh, I love her.
are you oh, she's amazing. Are you by any chance going to be working with any of artists that you've already previously collabed with in 2025?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to Riot House, like the whole, Sierra Jack them. I've talked to them about doing another track with them, so that could be on the horizon. The guy that we did By Your Side with, he actually emailed me today, funny enough, and he was like, "Hey, I've been seeing like how, well it's been going off because it's been like one of my favorite song, honestly, that we've done. I love the Generations up there, but yeah, so he hit me up today, and I was like, "Yeah, let's do it again. Let's run it back." So, yeah, I'll be another one with Bertie Scott, hopefully another one with Riot House, Sierra, and the gang, and then Sad Boys. They're another kind of rocktronic. They're doing what I'm doing, the pop punk kind of rocktronic scene. We did a song with them called In Love. We want to run it back with them again. So I'm planning to do that for 2025.
No, that's exciting. And listen, what a sign from the universe about collaborating with some of the people you created magic with already. Because obviously, how would I have known that that artist
Yeah,
emailed you today? That's crazy.
today, this morning. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. Well, the last thing I have for you, Brody, is first of all, thank you so much for your time because it is the most valuable thing we have. And I know you've had a long day at work, and I know that this is part of juggling that artistry and that personal life before you get to really just hone in on this craft. You have to juggle both. So thank you so much for doing that. Can you lastly tell anyone that's listening where to find you, where to stream your music, all those good details?
Awesome. Yeah. So basically, I have just at Caslow official. So Caslow Caslow official. That's my at on every social media and everywhere. Spotify is just Caslow, Apple Music. I don't know. Our music's probably on YouTube Music. If that, yeah, I just my record label send stuff. So yeah, it's got to be anywhere where you can listen to music, Caslow, and then on any social media, Caslow official. And
Amazing.
I will DM you back. So shoot me a DM.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time. I am super pumped for everything that you are doing, and I wish you the best. And I'll definitely be in touch in regards to when this is going to air and all that good stuff. But I appreciate it so much because I had been so anxious to talk to you because I just love what you're doing. So thank you so much.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, and as I said, if I'm pulling through Texas, we'll link up.
And we'll do some
So,
shots. There you go.
absolutely. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, take care, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. Hey, if you've made it this far, don't forget to follow the socials on the screen or in the description below. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel. See you next week.